Your LLC won't protect you, not in court, not in a crisis, and maybe not even tomorrow. You filed online and you thought it made you legit, but if I subpoena your bank account today, will I find personal expenses in your business? Because if I can, another lawyer can. And if they can, that LLC means nothing. And that makes you a personal guarantor for every mistake, every deal, and every lawsuit your business touches. You built an empire, but what have you built it on? Will it crumble under cross examination? This episode could save you tens of thousands of dollars, maybe even your entire business. And I'm not being dramatic because I've seen seven-figure companies vaporize in court because they made one mistake. They think their entity protected them when it didn't. We're going to break down the 5 ways your entity fails you, a real case where an entrepreneur lost everything, and the exact fixes I use for investors, e-commerce owners, consultants, and real estate professionals. So if you want to stop hoping your LLC works and actually build something that protects you, stay with me. And at the end, I'll offer you a free entity risk assessment audit, but only if you're serious about protecting what you built. I'm going to drop a myth that every business owner believes and dismantle it live on this episode. The first myth that I see is my accountant set up my LLC, so I'm good. This is wrong. 90% of CPAs don't review your meeting minutes or your operational agreement. And almost all CPAs, unless they're a lawyer, will not defend you in court. The second myth is my business is too small to sue. This isn't true. Small businesses are the most sued group in the country. The third myth is I've had my LLC for years. It's solid. Length does not equal strength. If your structure hasn't been audited in the last 12 months, you're probably vulnerable. You've got blind spots, but by the end of this episode, you'll know where they are and how to fix it. So buckle up. We're about to go into the mistakes that pierce the veil and why it's the difference between losing everything and keeping your legacy intact. And if you're multitasking right now, pause everything because the next 5 minutes might be the most important legal and financial advice that you ever hear. So let's talk about the mistakes that pierce the corporate veil, aka the silent killers. Most business owners think that they're protected because they filed one document with the Secretary of State and they called it a day. But here's what the court actually looks for when deciding if your LLC is real or if it's just a paperweight. The first thing that they look at, are you commingling your funds? You use your business account for gas, groceries, paying the kids' tuition, buying flights to Cancun. Well, guess what? You just turned your business account into your personal wallet. And creditors and the courts love that because now you're not a business, you're a sole proprietor in denial. Second thing I see is not having an operating agreement. Single member LLCs, you still need one. In fact, courts are more harsh on solo owners because they know no one's keeping you accountable. You need to prove your structure and not just say it. The third thing I see is no meeting minutes or resolutions. If your tax is an S-Corp and you're not documenting your decisions, paying yourself, buying equipment, onboarding partners, your election is at risk and your protection is gone. Fourth thing I see is multiple assets in one LLC. You've got 5 properties in an LLC. Well, congratulations. If a tenant sues you, they can go after everything that's inside of that. That's like locking up your front door, but leaving all your windows open, right? I think of LLCs as a bucket of risk, and whatever you put in that bucket can be at risk if something happens to one of those assets. The fifth thing that I see is no formal separation. If you don't have separate bookkeeping, a separate EIN, separate tax returns, separate mindset, your LLC doesn't exist in practice And that's what the courts care about. This is the one part that no one wants to hear, but everyone needs to. Let's talk about someone who came to me. Let's call her Jamie. She ran a successful contracting business and made over $1 million in revenue. They had an LLC, filed taxes. She thought she was doing everything right, or so, that's what she thought. Until one day a subcontractor tripped on a faulty stairwell. It was a major injury, had hospital bills, and guess what? A lawsuit followed. Jamie thought that she was protected until the plaintiff's attorney subpoenaed her bank account records. They found personal grocery receipts, her daughter's college tuition, $1,700 to Best Buy to buy a family TV. All of this was paid from the business account. She didn't have an operating agreement, no board meetings, no documented compensation structure. The judge said that her LLC was a sham and allowed the corporate veil to be pierced. This ended up in a $1.4 million personal judgment. They took the business, they took the house, and a year later, Jamie filed for bankruptcy. This isn't fear-mongering. This is real. The only thing more expensive than structure is not having a structure. So how do you fix it? You built something, but you want to protect it. Here's a roadmap I give real estate investors, business owners, consultants, everyone who wants to keep what they built. First, you want proper records and that operating agreement we spoke about. You need to have a written operating agreement. This is a contract between the members and the company. Even if you're solo, include the roles, responsibilities, ownership, who makes the decisions, and the payment rules. Second, you want an ongoing corporate formalities check. Do your annual minutes. Keep resolutions. Keep internal memos for major decisions, and use a compliance binder or a digital vault. This is your defense if something happens in court. And if you want extra protection, this is where maybe using a Wyoming or Delaware LLC as a holding company for your passive investments might make sense. Below that, you want to create LLCs per asset or business line. And you might want to consider a family limited partnership to wrap it into estate planning protection and being able to income shift. But you want to talk to a professional to make sure that it's a right fit, because the expenses that come with this might not be worth it where you are. So be sure that it makes sense first, and don't overstructure. The simple things is what protects you. And then as you grow, you might level up. The fourth thing is insurance isn't enough. Insurance doesn't replace structure. It's the first layer of protection. But when that payout cap hits or the claim is denied, your structure becomes that final line of defense. The fifth thing is having an entity and asset review. Have you reviewed your structure at least annually? Not just for tax, but for risk, liability, and legacy planning. If your LLC was set up more than a year ago and you've never had it audited, you're probably exposed. And if you've never had your operating agreement reviewed, your layers checked, your banking structure tested, or your risk profile assessed, that's not protection. You're just thinking wishfully. So here's what I'm offering: a free entity risk assessment. I'll walk you through what the court would see, what's missing, and how to fix it before the worst happens. Just check the link below or go to bristertaxall.com and schedule a discovery call. This isn't just about business. It's about your legacy, your family, and your peace of mind. Or go to Instagram, DM me the word audit, or click the link in my bio and below. This podcast is more than saving taxes, or avoiding lawsuits. It's about building something smart and protecting what you built fiercely and transferring things strategically so that you are protected. So if you got value from this episode, don't forget to hit the like button, follow, share this with someone who owns a business, and DM me on Instagram the word audit if you're ready to build your financial fortress. Don't build an empire just to lose it in court. Build it right, protect it, and create a legacy that lasts.